I'm gonna go ahead and call this meeting of the Town Park Commission to order. It is now 3:33 p.m. June 9th, 18th, 2025. Can we go ahead and call the roll, please?
Lynn Chrissy.
Here.
Jared Balzer, I'm sorry.
Here.
Maddie Long.
Here.
Mark Shields.
Here.
Alicia Grady.
Officially said something up here.
Does anyone have any issues with the meeting minutes from May?
I make a motion to that.
Yes.
Meeting.
I'll second.
Motion passes. Do I need to sign them? Or do you?
I'll do it after.
We're gonna go discuss Village Green Place space placements and purchases. So I was not here last month, but we did get a grant from the Brown County Community Foundation for $8,500. They requested that this be put towards the musical mushrooms that I had included in the application for the grant. They liked the overall idea of everything, but with the money and the funds that they had available to give us, that is just what they decided they would like to see out of everything. So I have gotten quotes for installation and purchasing from the Play with a Purpose company that we looked at for the cedar log cabin and the mushrooms. They had sent me a quote over mistakenly for everything to be purchased and installed. So that in total was about $18,000, roughly. Probably a little bit higher than that, but somewhere in that range of $18,000. Tax exempt wasn't included on that and some other stuff. So we'll roll over that for now for everything. I reached out today to get a quote for just the mushrooms and installation and shipping, and they have not responded to me yet because they had to get a hold of their installation guys. So it's a separate department. But once I have that, I'll email it out to everybody and we can discuss it again. So we're still working with the Rotary Club to get that grant for the cedar log cabin purchased and installed. And the Rotary Club will be taking part in installing that. They have offered to remove the wood chips from the Village Green Play space for us with their team of workers and volunteers. And I've looked into places and ways that we can donate the used wood chips to provide for someone else. So that way they're not just going to a landfill. Yeah, so I was thinking maybe like a playground that needed some just to fill in. I know that people can use them in gardens. So I know at Deer Run, they have a public garden that might be able to use them if that's something that they're interested in. And then if we do find somebody who would like to take them, they are also welcome to volunteer in picking them up and transporting them. So
the Rotary Club is willing to actually construct the cabin. Cool.
Yeah.
When have they talked about doing that?
I met with them before I was absent for the last 2 meetings. But they are trying to acquire a grant themselves to kind of donate the funds to get the equipment to do that. So we're waiting on to hear from them. And I reached out to, and I cannot remember her name. I'll have to go through my emails again. Lorraine?
J. Dean.
Okay. J. Dean. Yes. J. Dean Laros is my contact with them.
Okay.
So they're trying to get a grant to get the materials to build it.
Which we would purchase the cedar log cabin, but for them to do the project with the equipment they would need a grant.
So like the tools, you mean? Or
Yeah.
So we would have to buy the cabin.
Yes.
I thought they were getting money with the grant to buy the cabin for us too. That was my understanding.
Okay. So yes, it's been a long time.
It has been a long time because they had to apply or is it World Rotary or is it United States Rotary? I'm not sure.
It's whatever is above them.
So I don't think they're gonna know until August though, if
Yeah,
They get-
they won't be able, and they had even talked about installing it in September. Or November because of how hot it would be and how busy it would be, sure, so.
So they're looking at getting the money, to purchase the materials as well as the tools to build it. And then they're going to even remove the wood chips from the actual site.
And install the cabin to whatever extent that may be.
We gotta put in place so many wood chips. Anything.
We discussed new
Sure.
wood chips. And tiling,
Tiling,
like the play mat,
rubber tiles.
I think that is way too expensive for what we're wanting to do.
We really don't need it, because that's what they, it's for like fall protection, and if there's no amenity that is. I think that cabin, the peak of the roof is what, 3 or 4 feet high. So it wouldn't hurt to leave some wood chips around there for, if nothing else, just because it's gonna be a mud pit if there's nothing. But as far as needing like some kind of boarding place or like the rubber tiles, I wouldn't think that that would be necessary.
I will say the Village Green place space. You can tell where some of the areas of wood chips have been kind of wallered out over time from kids running. So I think maybe leveling it would be beneficial. Just in case of like a tripping or, kids
Yes.
falling and face planting in the mulch.
Yeah, so you're drawing in that where the wood chips
Mhm.
are now. Okay.
But I don't think it would take much to level that out.
Yeah, that's the only thing I see is, again, just like, if you ever look. The base of like a swing set, where kids, every time their feet are hitting the ground,
Yeah.
anything around there, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Is bare dirt, so if you don't have wood chips or mulch or pea gravel or something, it'll just be muddy.
That's all I've got for that. Does anybody else have anything to add?
Sounds great.
Yeah. We can wait for all the.
We can get the cabin and we can get the mushroom things put in. And sounds like we're in good shape. And we'll find out, I guess, what to do for.
That check for $8,500, so.
And that's nice. That's most of our commission has
Yeah,
had.
so, and then we still have.
Yeah.
$9,000. Yeah, we still have $9,000 for. Right?
Actually, it is $8,965.86.
Okay.
Okay. So that's how much we've got right now.
And so we buy them together. Okay.
I will add too, if anybody has any good ideas, the Brown County Community Foundation asks to be like mentioned. Whenever we do announce the installation of the mushrooms in that project. So if anyone has any good ideas of how to maybe like put a sign up for them to thank them for that in that area, recommendations will be welcome because I'm not creative. So
What did we, did you do the grant or because usually there's like a section on that of how we would acknowledge
Yeah.
that you didn't do what is put in there.
accountability report guidelines. So they just asked, this is the accountability report guidelines for a completed competitive grant accountability report form. I have that. A detailed financial budget report on a specific project and program funded. copies of receipts and invoices, photographs of your project, program, and signed media release, copies of documentation of when and how your partnership with Brown County Community Foundation was acknowledged for its support, and other documents specifically requested by the Brown County Community Foundation.
Okay. Do you remember item? I think it's usually towards the end, but there's usually, you have like the actual application. There's a.
I don't have it with me, this is just the other people.
Yeah, because that's like that's one of the questions they have. Is, what means do you have in mind to
Mhm.
acknowledge? So.
I think it stated a sign would be installed to recognize them at the play space.
Yeah.
Near the mushrooms. Media, I'm assuming, but the town doesn't really have media other than our website. So,
Well, as far as like, I mean, does the town have a Facebook page?
Nope.
Got it.
we have a YouTube channel,
Okay,
we have our website,
there's always the newspaper.
we do
You
have.
can write a letter to the editor and thanking them. You said a sign. Did they say that they would provide a sign or we are gonna provide a sign?
We are going to find a sign.
So I think if we did a sign, maybe just a letter to the editor, that's decent.
Yeah.
Not
We
much,
can still post things on the other Brown County Facebook.
but
Yeah, we could do the chatter.
Information
matters.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have several outlets that we
see
could
pictures
use.
out and thank them. Like, thank you.
Cliff, do you have anything there?
No.
Okay, you're just gonna hang out. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the Lincoln Finch Park. We had a meeting yesterday with the Rural Placemaking Committee members at the Lincoln Finch Park for the Rural Placemaking Committee that we're participating in. Our IU student came out and looked at was it the first time he had gone out or the second time, Sandy?
This is, I took him around a couple of weeks ago.
So this was the second time he had come out, but this time he came out with the full group. We met his teacher or his professor, that's leading the project. Carol Brown was there with us. Michael Shamley was there with us, and he is
He's the local architect.
They had surveyed the ground and gave us a
Topographical.
yes, topographical map, thank you. Of the area, it had been surveyed, so he was able to look at that and kind of see where our flooding is, where our low ground is. We had discussed some different ideas that he had come up with, again, we had discussed waterways, to help kind of direct the water out of the park if it is flooding. He hasn't really given us any thorough ideas of what he's thinking of yet, but he has quite a few that he's said he was thinking of. He really wants to include some local artwork of some sort into it, whether it be statues or even art that we could sell and keep it rotating over time. So I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had discussed food trucks and farmers markets taking place in the park. I know currently they are at the Brown County Inn. And I don't know about anybody else that's been to any other farmer market, but ours is like the only one in the state that starts at 11 o'clock in the afternoon. When the sun's beating down on you and it's miserably hot on the pavement. And then you also have to wait for hotel guests to leave, so parking is very minimal. I would personally love to see a farmer's market in Lincoln Finch Park. One day on the weekend, we have the Washington Street parking lot there, right? I just get to walk over. But then it's on grass, there are trees for shade, we have a parking lot available. And then I also thought if, some vendors want to come in and they serve off of a truck, or if they serve out of a trailer, they can park on the alleyway right there, it's in front of Washington Street. And then it keeps our parking lot open for visitors or purchasers or anything like that.
When is it Sundays?
Yes.
They do it on Sundays, which I assume is why they started at 11, because a lot of people are.
Sure.
Right now it's at 10.
And,
Yeah.
but yeah, I feel like the timing is not in their favor,
No,
the day or the time.
I think that'd be a great idea, though, if we could, be nice to somehow work with whomever coordinates that market and see if we could do it on Saturday and allow them to keep doing it on Sunday. But yeah, you're right, it's like with the parking, got the grass, seems like it'd be a good fit. And that's one thing I have noticed is it being later, it was 11 noon. Sundays they have it, but you're right, it's typically a little bit later than most. It's,
So, the farmers markets in Bloomington and Columbus are on Saturdays, and they're pretty big.
yeah,
So, I know several of the vendors at farmers market here go to those other.
yeah, that may be why they do theirs on Sunday.
I do like the idea of it being more easily accessible, because it's like you go in there, I always walk, so it's a longer walk, unless you walk down the hill. But, coming out, especially if it's a busy weekend and you have to make that left-hand turn if you're coming back west, it's not great, so.
We discussed that and putting like a walking path in the park, maybe with a bridge, with a dry creek in it that would only have water if it rained. We had talked about that. We had talked about some native plant species maybe getting planted in there. If we did install a walkway to promote pollinators and things like that. But he's got lots of good ideas. It was really nice to talk to everyone and get their perspectives on stuff. So it was interesting. So good.
That's great. Like the idea of a farmer's market, maybe we just make it on another day, Wednesday or something, summer and Wednesday.
Right.
Mhm.
We had discussed doing like a food truck takeover too. Maybe on like a weekday or a weeknight where they can park either in the parking lot and serve there. We could go eat picnics in the park. Or they could park on the alleyway again and serve to the park and kind of have people sit and enjoy that area.
I wondered how that would work if it was on a weekend, because there's so many cars parked even around that area.
Right.
Parking places taking people doing other things. They can add more cars that will come in through the market. I don't know if we have enough parking. I mean, it'd be all streets.
One of the pros though of having it early in the morning would be that our shops in town don't open till 10. So if you started your farmer's market at 7 or 8 a.m. when most farmers markets start, then all your parking is gone by 11. So there would be about an hour of, tight parking. But then after that, you clear out your farmer's
That
market.
lot is always fills fast.
Yes, it is pretty
People
far away
try
from
and
town.
park as close to downtown as they possibly can. So when I see that filling up, I know how busy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's where we're at right now with Washington.
That'd be great. I'm looking forward to it. We'll park and we'll look for it and stuff, and we can go on and maybe get more of it.
Yes.
In the rest of the village. That's
Yes.
what I like to see.
What was the date that they had anticipated, the rural engagement, as far as like kind of having a plan?
He has 8 weeks
Okay.
of work and he has 3 communities that he's working. So he has us. Is it 3 total or are there 3 other than us?
I don't know how many.
He either has 3 or 4 communities that he's working with on the same project. So he has 8 weeks to get all 3 or 4 of those projects complete. After that, they'll present to us when it's completed. And he'll have 1 or 2 ideas for us here in a few weeks to choose which one we would like to go with. And then once we pick that, he can go ahead and go through the rest of the engineering part of that project and then present it to us with the finalized,
That's cool.
the finalized plan.
I'm glad there's that interim step where then they can dig deeper into
Yeah.
some of the details and make recommendations. That's very cool. Yeah.
They work with 2 or 3 different engineers throughout the summer that have volunteered to help them, like professional established engineers. So
I'm sorry, you said it would be in just a couple of weeks or so where they present the initial
Mhm.
ideas.
To the committee. And to our rural placemaking committee,
Okay.
not you guys.
Mhm.
And we'll have to answer some questions. And then Julian will do some more work on it. And then at the final, then he'll do a presentation. But this is simply just like a potential idea. There is no funding behind it. So we can dream all we want to dream,
Sure.
but nothing comes a reality until we have the cash.
Yeah.
Well, at least we have,
Big thousands of dollars.
I think it would be helpful to have a direction. Because the thing is, we've tossed some of the ideas.
Right.
And we've had, residents that share what they would like to see, residents that have shared what they don't see. So then it's kind of like we as the commission can say, it's not just we sat here and thought about what we wanted. We had this group come in and they kind of all these different aspects, and this is what.
And I've asked Julian to make sure that the residents across the street are involved as well.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be having this plan will help us as we apply for additional grants. An actual plan, yeah, here's what we wanna do. I think that's gonna take a long way to getting some funds, so.
Fun, and the fact that, we again have this group that's come on board willing to take this on and put time and effort into it, then, again, it's not like we just met over dinner and said, hey, let's do this.
That's.
I think the farmer's market and possibly the food truck, whatever, takeover, whatever you want to call it, would be great. Financial ideas, so we can charge rent for that space. If that's something that we decide to do, we can create an ordinance or whatever is required to allow for that space to be rented. And then, if we have a continuous stream of income, say they do it once a week, every week for 6 months out of the year, right? That's money that we don't have now. So there are options, and we can even do both of them. Because I think the food truck would be great on maybe a Monday. I would hate to interfere with our local restaurants and their business, so I know 90% of them are not open on Mondays. If that was something to be offered to our community, and really not even our tourists, just the people that live and work here in town. I think that would be a great way to get people out there. Utilizing the space, a great way to get income for the park commission. And a way to bring new business into Nashville.
Yeah.
Because that actually, then it goes to the itinerant business license for the town, so.
And I mean, there are tourists who come and stay more than we.
Yes.
And,
Right.
when they're roaming around, it's like everything's.
Well,
Yes.
they're not gonna go to McDonald's or something.
Yeah, right, exactly, exactly.
They don't roam around in the parkers.
Yeah.
But they.
But maybe we could guide them.
And make it known.
Yeah, it's something that ties them.
We can, I presume we could work with the visitor center so that they're letting people know, hey, we have this on this day, so. Wait,
movies and different things like that.
Yeah, those movie nights or, you know, any,
He puts it up for
I like the idea too, for having like some sort of acoustic music group
Mhm.
that's out there
Mhm.
and, you know, could rotate a different group or a different genre every week or.
yes, yeah.
what the people like in their living room.
Well,
I think that they would enjoy it more than what they think they would.
I think especially if it's just acoustic and not, you know,
Yeah.
set up to be like, you know.
No rock concerts, no scream others.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
we're gonna bombard the neighborhood with
Yeah.
crazy amounts of noise
Right.
24/7. It's gonna be a limited amount of time, you know, certain things. And acoustic, it's not gonna be over the top, so. I think they might complain initially, but I think they'd get over it and maybe even like it. You know, maybe they sit out on their, this, I know there's the apartments over there on Johnson. And it's like, everybody sit on there. Watch it,
That's
listen to music and enjoy it.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Would enjoy that. It's all right, that's been going, so
Yeah.
so I mean.
Get a couple of months to figure out, you know, costs.
Sure.
Get the money,
Again, brainstorming here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I thought of a lot of places to use.
Mhm.
You said space. Well, I have to always be mindful about flooding possibilities,
Mhm.
so it's always there.
Flooding would be, I think, our only issue. Thankfully, that doesn't happen very often, so. Our 7-year flood.
Yeah, but it's going to be more floods in the future, so.
But I think that's all we've got for today. Cool. I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, see that Mark's watching the little breeze of TV.
Well, just, yeah, we're still trying to figure out if we're gonna be able to have baseball games. It's not moving around.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, baseball tonight.
Baseball.
I'm happy to move that we adjourn for today.
I'll second it.
Meeting is adjourned, and it is
It's a-
4:01.
New record. New record.
Guys, that was good.
Yes.
We won't have any meaningful information until about 2 months.
Probably.
I mean, we might,
I don't know.
you guys got some information on their first draft, right?
Yes,
That even though they're not presenting to us, I assume somebody will.
we
Let
will
us
hear. Yeah.
What's
We will
going
hear.
on?
Yes, we will hear from them and then,